Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from today. Thank you so much for joining us today for our webinar on improving client onboarding efficiency with no-code. My name is Rita Rizvanian, and I am the Director of Demand Generation here at Caspio. Here is a sneak preview of the case study we're going to talk about in further detail today.
The Farnell Protect team at Women's Refuge run a project helping high-risk victims experiencing family violence. But as it grew, they quickly realized they were spending more time on admin than on their mission. The project required 9 paper forms with 729 bits of information that had to be completed to start helping someone. Just imagine all the emails, scanning, and wasted energy it took. The calendar invites they had to create, the duplicated information, and regular miscommunication. To top it all off, everything was managed on a giant spreadsheet that was getting out of control. The team was stressed, working long hours, and worried about not giving the service that clients desperately needed. The project was so successful they had more clients than they could handle. Something had to change. They reached out to Andy and the team, who took the time to understand the real problems facing them and get clear on the outcome they needed. A plan was put in place to not only digitize the current process, but automate those repetitive tasks using the latest technology. One of the hardest things you find is moving staff to a new system. So easy to follow documentation and a clear training program was put in place for a smooth transition. The result? Endless paper forms are now online. No more double entry. Time-consuming emails could be sent with one click. Automated calendar appointments make sure everyone is on the same page. Paper signatures are now e-signatures, automatically sent to the right person. Purchase orders are automatically sent to zero once milestones are completed, along with data from suppliers, key partners, and emails being entered automatically, saving endless hours of painstaking data entry. And with a new workflow checklist, it makes it easier if a new staff member comes on board. The team now have time to focus on what really matters, the people they help. And key stakeholders can get clear, auditable reporting to help them make better decisions and stay compliant. Could your systems be improved to save time, money, and provide a better customer experience? Not to mention staff experience? Reach out to the team today.
Perfect. So in this webinar, our partner, Technology 2 Hardbasket, will share how they help a women's refuge simplify workflows and eliminate the need for spreadsheets with the power of Caspio's low-code platform. We want to make this webinar a fun and interactive experience, so please go over to the chat, say hi, drop us comments, and use a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen to leave any questions throughout the event, and we'll make sure to leave enough breaks during the actual webinar to cover all of them. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. We have an information-packed webinar for you today, so I'll quickly share the agenda and get you over to our great content. My colleague Nick will start things off with a quick fireside chat with Andy from Technology 2 Hardbasket. Andy will then present the customer onboarding case study in detail, along with the demo of the app that they built on the Caspio platform. And our client, Stephanie Hall from the Women's Refuge, will also join in to provide the business perspective. The webinar will have several breaks for Q&A, so please keep the questions coming, and we will do our best to get to all of them throughout the webinar. We'll also be sharing the recording of today's discussion with all of the attendees once the webinar is completed. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Nick.
Thanks, Rita, and hello, everyone. Thanks to all of you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Nick Sangvi, and I head up our alliances team here at Caspio. And I consult with our clients and partners in advising them whether Caspio is the right fit for the business problem that they are trying to solve. And special thanks to our partner, Andy, from Technology 2 Hardbasket, and our client, Stephanie Hall from the Women's Refuge, for sharing some of their valuable insights with us today. And we hope you find their presentation and discussion to be very useful as well. And so with that, I'll jump right into the fireside chat with Andy. And So Andy, maybe to kind of kick things off and to give the audience a kind of origin story, if you will, uh, can you tell us about how you got into the low code, no code space?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on today. It's great to be here. Look, how I first got into the low code, no code space is I've co-founded a couple of businesses, and over the course of 20 years, we grew those businesses. And in the kind of the last, I guess, the last half of those 20 years, we started to find great opportunities for our businesses to become more efficient by using low code and no code tools. So, we had, it was at that time where a lot of these tools were starting to become available, and we were a relatively early adopter of those tools, and so they were able to make a great impact. And so, seeing that, I then sold out of my businesses, and for the last 10 years, I've been working with the businesses and organizations to helping them leverage the advantage of those tools. And so that's how I come to be here today.
Great. That's great. And so how did you, in your exploration of the low code, no code space, how did you come across Caspio?
How I first came across Caspio was actually for this particular project, which we're going to go through the case study today. So I was looking for an enterprise database solution, and it needed to have fantastic security. Security was a key requirement for this project. And we needed to be able to integrate it with other low-code tools. So that was another key requirement. So, I started going through, the key review sites out there, and, Caspio was a category leader across those key, features that we required, and so that's how I found Caspio. So I was really impressed when I first did the research, and then it just kind of got better once we started actually working with it.
That's great. Great to hear that. So in your evaluation, and of course, for the benefit of our customers, prospects, and partners also who might be kind of going through that phase right now, since you've been through that earlier, how did Caspio kind of fit into the broader low-code, no-code landscape from your perspective?
So where it fits from my perspective is that, like I said before, it's a category leader. So, it has, it's definitely at the, the high end as far as, features and capability goes. And, there are quite a few low code and no code tools out there. But in my, I guess, where I see Caspio kind of differentiating from a lot of those tools is that there's higher functionality. Caspio also, as well as offering the low code, gives you the ability to be able to pro code as well. So, and it gives you the enterprise level features, which not a lot of the solutions out there do provide. So
Sure. That's great. Yeah, and so I think there's a question from one of the attendees around what no code, low code is all about. And so, sure. So, Geoff, thanks for that question. Low-code, no-code tools are a way to simplify application development and speed up application development significantly. Think of it like drag and drop, point and click type of interfaces to develop applications really fast, as opposed to having to build them from scratch using just coding languages. And so the advantages are several. I mean, you end up saving time, end up saving money in terms of the project costs, etc. And I think this will also, of course, become more clearer once we kind of get into the case study as well. So,
I think one of the to me, one of the key advantages, and I guess one of the descriptions I use to explain what low code is it's really opening up development and improvement opportunities to a much wider audience. So it means that business owners, business analysts who understand the improvements that they want to make but don't have the development or coding skills can actually implement many of these things. So that's the thing that I see.
right. And I think with that, let's jump over into the case study. I think that will help explain that in much better detail as well, both from a business point of view as to what the problem was that we're trying to solve, and then how Caspio, how a low-code, no-code tool like Caspio can help solve that. So over to you, Andy.
Right, so I'll just bring this up. Okay. So the case study that I'm going to go through is for a project called Whānau Protect, which is a home security and safety service for people who are affected by domestic violence. And look, it's a really important project in our community, and it's run by Women's Refuge. And it's designed to enable victims to remain living safely in their current homes with a reduced risk of family violence in their home. But when I first started working with the team, the team were pretty overwhelmed at that point. They had the main tools that they were using. They had this huge Excel spreadsheet with 102 columns, which were tracking the onboarding of 200 plus clients a month. And there were thousands of emails with attachments and manual calendar reminders being set. So it's fantastic to have Stephanie Hall with us today. So, Stephanie, what was it like for you and the team, before the Caspio solution? I know it's a few years ago now, but what was it like for them?
Well, as you said, Andy, we were experiencing huge numbers of clients, and we were really struggling to manage with the system that we had. And as you said, this consisted of really large spreadsheets with a great deal of client information in them. And we used these to track the clients through the service. We were constantly stressed that these spreadsheets weren't accurate, or they could get corrupted or contain errors that could really impact our client safety. And our advocates that work on the ground with the clients were having to fill out multiple forms, often up to 9 forms, and that required them to enter the same information numerous times, and they would then have to scan and email these forms to the team at National Office to process. So you can imagine this was really time consuming for everyone. So generally, the team's stress levels were quite high, and we were always worried that mistakes could happen that could jeopardise client safety, and advocates were frustrated by the amount of repetitive paperwork they had to do. Yeah, so it was a stressful situation. Yeah.
Thanks for that. That's that's super helpful. I remember some of those initial meetings, and sitting down with the team. It was it was a challenging time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, Steph, those 9 paper forms. So there's a huge amount of information which was having to be collected. There were 700 odd fields of information. Lots of paper agreements which were being signed, scanned, and emailed back and forth between, the advocates and the team. And there were also, hundreds of weekly emails, being sent from suppliers. And, there was really key information in that. So that needed to then be manually entered. And, the reporting as well required hours of manual steps. So just love to get your input at this point. I've got a quick question for you around, what business apps do you use currently? Now, you can either scan the QR code to go straight through to the poll here, or you can type in slido.com and then enter the number that we have on the screen there, which is 2146785. And when you get into the poll, if you could type in the names of a few of the different business applications that you use. So some examples, if you're already using Caspio, you could type in Caspio. If you're using Zapier, if you're using Office 365, if you're using Google Suite, or there are thousands and thousands of different apps out there that we use in our businesses. It'd be great to get just a little snapshot of some of the ones that you use, and we'll come back to that a little bit further into the case study. So, one of the key problems that the team were facing is that they're spending more time on admin than actually on the really important work of looking after the advocates and the clients. And some of the really time-consuming stuff around that was the collection of the paper and the scanned documents and managing all of the emails that were coming through. We've already mentioned the spreadsheet that that kept erroring. And also, just all of the normal risks that are associated with spreadsheets. We had, manual calendar invites that didn't always happen. So, look, what this all kind of led to was miscommunication. Stressed team members, worried about clients, and working long hours just to try and keep up and manage. And one of the key kind of risks that we identified was that there was lots of important information that was only in somebody's heads. And this is something that I get to see a lot, is that if somebody is away ill, or if somebody's on leave, often things can slip through the cracks because so dependent upon information, people being able to recall information and being there. And we had, there were also partners that, the advocates around the country who were frustrated. Look, the first step that we worked through to create the improvement here was to have a look at what were the current processes and to map those out, to analyze them and talk to the different stakeholders. And one of the most valuable things we did is we actually went through some of the team training on how to run the system and the processes. And then what we're able to do is we're able to map out some recommendations and then have a look at how technology would fit into that plan. So this process improvement wheel is a key tool that we use in order to create the improvement. So right at the top here we have bureaucracy. So we're looking to ways we can reduce bureaucracy and make things a little bit more streamlined. We're looking at ways that we can add value to the current process, so to make it more useful for people. We then look at how can we simplify a process and remove duplication. So we want to be able to make sure that we're not touching things twice. And then we also want to look at the overall what we call the cycle time. So the time from the start of in this case, the client onboarding. So the start is the referral, right the way through to the acceptance and delivering the service. So if we can reduce that time, then that can create some efficiency. And the last thing that we do is once we've looked at how can we improve the process, we then look at how can we apply automation to that so that people have to do less and we can use the power of technology to do things for us. And look, just one point I want to make on this is that I often find that, personally and with, clients I work with, is that we often want to jump to the automation step because that kind of seems like a great thing to do. But if you go through those other steps first, often you can create some unexpected gains that you wouldn't have got by just applying automation to your existing process. So now I just want to have a look and see what different apps we've got that you're using. So the apps in the bigger text are apps that more people have selected. So we've got Office 365 and Trello, a few people using Zapier, which is great, Excel, Google Suite, Word, SAP, Snagit, QuickBooks. Great. So there's a great collection of different apps, and it's really amazing now the selection that we have available. It's a world of opportunities, and can create fantastic efficiency for us. So thanks for participating in that. Really appreciate it. So in our case study, our recommended solution involves using the improvement wheel, and some of the outcomes that came from the first step of reducing bureaucracy. So we were able to reduce the number of questions on the forms by going through and reviewing all of those and by working with the team together. We were able to reduce the approval steps and the people that needed to touch each one of those steps. And one of the great gains that we got from that step was we actually removed the need for two forms completely, so that they just were able to disappear, which was great. In the duplication step of the wheel, we were able to remove 150 fields across the 9 forms. So there was that much duplication going on across the forms. So there was about 20% just straight duplication we were able to remove. And the value add that we were able to create, so we were able to set up a Caspio cloud database, and that hosted the core data forms. And what that enabled us to do was to be able to improve the reporting on information, enabled us to be able to set up the generation of alerts and be able to manage job status updates. And we're also able to minimize the risk around the human error around manually entering data, which was a massive gain for us. So, Steph, when we were just starting to, starting with the new system, what were some of the challenges from your perspective in making, first of all, deciding to make the change, and then also making the change from the old system to the new solution?
Yeah, I think it was obvious that we had to make the change, so that wasn't too hard. We had to demonstrate to our funders, as it was a significant financial investment, that it was worthwhile, but they were on board with that. As we have many refuges that deliver the service across the country, we had to train them to use the new system, so that was quite a challenge. And some felt quite invested in the old processes that we'd used. So convincing them that the new system and new technology was a good idea was quite challenging. We also take referrals from external agencies, such as police. So we had to make them aware of the new online system as well. So we had to do quite a big push on the new technology we were using. I think because our system is quite complex with many steps along the way that need to be followed to ensure that the client gets the best service possible. So capturing all of those steps was a challenge. And we had quite a bit of trial and error, I think, in testing the system with the team when we went live. But we ironed out all those issues, and I think it's been so worth it. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So in and around the simplification, what we're able to do, one of the key things was the auto-filling of address forms. So this was kind of a constant problem where with the manual forms we would get incorrect information, and by being able to connect the Caspio data forms to an address database, then it meant that we got the correct addresses, which is super important for this service. And by being cloud-based, users can access it from anywhere. So advocates and clients can access what they need, and also using digital signing. So connecting the Caspio data through to digital signing tools using Zapier, we were able to make that process much simpler. So a key part of being able to make this process improvement was being able to implement a digital checklist with the built-in automation. And this helped us be able to reduce the cycle time. So, when we first started, the admin time around a referral was taking approximately 5 hours, and we're able to reduce that down to 2 hours by being able to use the process improvement. And we're able to connect the Caspio data with the digital checklist, again using Zapier. There was lots of automation that we're able to then build into the checklist. We're able to build in email automation, document creation, calendar event creation, supplier bills, supplier data update, and we'll take you through some of that in a bit more detail in a second. But just before we go into that in a little more detail, I have one more question for you. So again, if you just pop back to Slido or scan the QR code again, you'll have a new poll in there, and just a simple multi-choice question. What's more important to you, saving time or saving money? In your business or your organization, which one of those two things is more important right now? And we'll come back to those answers shortly. So just diving into some of the automation. So this is the last step in our process improvement wheel. So document automation from the checklist. So again, we've got data which has come through into the Caspio database. It's being sent into our digital checklist using Zapier, and then we're able to automate the creation of a document which needs to be shared with one of our partners. And so here we're connecting our digital checklist to Google Docs using Zapier to automate this process. Now, managing our calendar invites and reminders. So the team are using they're using Microsoft 365, and inside of their Outlook, they've got all of their calendar information. And again, because we're working with the advocates who are outside of our Microsoft 365 environment, we need to be able to include them. So from our checklist, again, we've got a connection using Zapier to be able to send these calendar invites with all of the details from the database information that we have. Now, this next piece of automation is one of the really cool things that we were able to do here in the process improvement was that the advocates that we work with, we have a commercial arrangement set up with them where each referral that they manage, there's some financial transaction that occurs. And prior to, in the old system, what used to happen is the advocates had to send an invoice through to the team in order for that to be processed. But when we sat down and had a look at that, there were quite a lot of problems where people weren't submitting those invoices, so we'd have to be chasing and waiting. And so what we did is we said to them, hey, would it be easier if we just created a supplier bill automatically for you and just sent you the money when you got to this, the correct stage. And they were like, great, that'll be awesome. We save us a job. So that's what we do. So when we reach a certain point in the process, in our digital checklist, we click a button and that automatically creates the supplier bill, and then we pay that, and it's just removed a whole lot of hassle, and the automation has removed the duplication. So that was a nice little win. Another quite cool thing we're able to do is one of the key suppliers, so the alarm company in this case, they provided us regular data, and they were sending it to us in a form where we couldn't do anything with it other than just manually enter the data. So we worked with them to be able to change the format that they could send us that information, so that we could apply automation to be able to remove a manual task that was just not a high value task, but we needed that data for the reporting. So we've got emails coming in with important data going straight using Zapier into a spreadsheet, which then also connects into our Caspio data for reporting. So that was saved a lot of manual data entry. So just want to look now and see what your answers were. So we've got 80% saving time and 20% saving money, which is great. Like that's normally what I see from the businesses and organizations that I work with, that saving time is absolutely crucial. And one of the great things about using this type of technology is that it saves you time and money. And one of the key things for us around this particular project, from a financial perspective and choosing a database solution, was that we've got hundreds of advocates across the country who all need to use the database. And with the Caspio solution, we don't pay a per user charge. We pay a set annual charge regardless of how many users, and that creates a really efficient and effective solution. So another piece of automation that we have is that for agreements, so we use a digital signing tool, and in this case we're using a tool called Sign Now. So again, we've got the Caspio data, and we're using Zapier to connect through to Sign Now to provide digital signing from the checklist. So just before I share with you a couple of the live pages and one of the checklists, Steph, can you just share with us a couple of the benefits from your perspective around the Caspio solution?
Sure. So I think as our number of clients was increasing, we realised our processes needed to become more efficient, and moving to Caspio databases certainly made this possible. So our advocates, as you said, now fill out all the forms online, and the forms are also auto-populated, so the same information doesn't need to be added multiple times. Our team who coordinate the service at National Office are automatically notified when forms are submitted. So, and this is really important for us because we have really tight timeframes from our funder for clients to move through the service. And this really ensures that we stay on track and we don't miss anything. Advocates can take a tablet when they visit clients and submit the forms on the spot rather than having to go back to the office and input the data. And we found a great bonus of this is that we no longer have handwritten forms, so we don't have to decipher people's handwriting, because that was just a nightmare. So Caspio also integrates with our other systems, such as Process Street. So this really decreases the need to repeatedly add the same information, and this reduces errors in our data, and it makes everything so much more efficient and quicker. And as Andy said, what used to take our team 5 hours now only takes 2 hours thanks to this. Also, the reporting to our funders is much more accurate and easier for me. Data can be downloaded from other systems, so all reporting is done from one place, which just streamlines it. And if our funders are interested in something in particular, I can drill down into the information, which is really valuable. I think another thing that we found so helpful is that the advocates and staff also have confidence that all the client information is really secure. We hold very sensitive information, so this is really essential for us. And as all forms are uploaded online, we no longer need to email this sort of information around, which adds to the security of the client's information. So the stress levels of the team have decreased significantly. The workload of the advocates is much more streamlined, and clients are getting a better service as a result of moving to the system.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to share with you a couple of the live pages, so you can get a better sense of a good sense of this. So I'll just share with you.
And while you bring that up, Andy, just want to remind everyone that's watching, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A option at the bottom of your Zoom screen to share any questions with us, and we'll try to cover them.
Okay. I have to do this.
So we were seeing your screen, Andy.
Were you seeing the Women's Refuge page?
Yeah, the form. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. You've got that now.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so this is, I'm on the Women's Refuge website here, and so this is a public-facing page and form, and here what we have is one of the Caspio data pages, which is embedded into this web page. And so this is the starting point of the process. So an advocate will go into this page to start filling out the form. Police will come in here if they're creating a referral. We'll also get referrals that are coming through from courts as well. And so you'll see in here, so there's a lot of information to collect in this initial referral. And one of the things here we need to collect some some files which are uploaded and stored in the Caspio database, so that we can access them, and the advocates can access them when or if required. And in here, we're getting all of the benefits of the digitization of forms. If we're looking for an address here, we just start typing the address, and the whole database. In this case, this is the New Zealand address list comes up. And we're also using cascading on the form. So in this case, if the client has a disability, that opens up more information, and again we have that type of functionality operating across the form. So that's the first, the first step in the process. And once that is submitted through, there's a few different things that happen. Like Stephanie said, there's some notifications that happen, but also we've also got automation happening at that point, where some of the data which is being entered into that database is being sent using Zapier across to our digital checklist. And this is a sample of the digital checklist. And so you'll see in here we've got 40 odd steps here, which are for running this onboarding and service process. And we've got details which are coming through here automatically from the database. And then we have steps as we go through here. We've got email templates, which are one click sending through and merging through to the data. We have our automation to be able to create our Outlook reminders. And one of the great things about having this checklist in place, one of the things I talked about earlier, was if one of the team is away, any of the other team members can step in and see exactly where this particular client is up to in the process. And we can add other comments and be able to manage that. And it provides complete transparency, also for the leadership team being able to see the status. We talked about the document automation. So inside of here we have the data coming through from Caspio using Zapier, and again using Zapier connecting to the checklist, we automatically create the documentation. And then we also have our supplier bill automation. So again, we complete the task, and the automation takes care of the rest, so that the team can focus on the most important thing, which is looking after clients and looking after advocates. So one last thing I just wanted to show you was, we talked about Zapier and using automation connecting with Caspio. So this is inside of Zapier, and looking here at one of the Zaps that we use for the automation. We've got when a new record is created inside of the database, inside of this particular table, in this case we're sending it through to our digital checklist. So that's what I just want to show you on the live forms. So if I just go back to our presentation. Just just to sum up, as Stephanie said, the benefits of going through this, of using low and no code to improve the onboarding has been reduced team stress, less data entry, easier reporting, and actually improving the customer experience. And look, here's a little diagram just to show you some of the different tools that we've used here and how they work together. So lastly, just wanted to say big thank you to Nick and Rita and the team at Caspio, and big thank you to Stephanie for taking the time to join us today, and big thank you to everybody for coming along. If you'd like to get in touch with Nick or myself, our details are there, and be happy to answer any questions, or jump on a quick video call if you'd like to hear more.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks a lot, Andy and Stephanie, both of you, for your great insights. And so as you all in the audience would have seen, you can improve your customer onboarding experience and build some powerful applications in Caspio. And Q&A is open now. Started to see some first few questions. Yeah. Will we be sharing the slides? Yes. So we'll share this PDF of the slides as well as the entire recording with everyone who's registered for the webinar. And yeah, here's this question would be for you, Andy. So how much does a project like this cost typically, ballpark?
So, typically, a project like this involves a few different phases. And, the first phase of a project like this is to go through that review and, to be able to have a look at the current processes and, be able to identify kind of the opportunities for improvement. And so, typically that's about a 6,000 New Zealand dollar, stage in the project. And then typically from there, what we do is then, phase the next stages of the project, and they're normally in kind of phases of about 15,000 per phase. So so that we can do one piece of the work, be able to start to implement some of those improvements, and so that the one thing that's really important, and one of the great advantages we get with low code tools, is that you can actually implement parts of it, and so you can do it in stages as opposed to having to have the whole the whole solution completely I guess finished. So, and that's really encouraging for the team, when it doesn't take months and months and months to be able to implement, and when they can see some improvement, and it makes them really hungry for the next stages. And I think it makes the training and implementation a little bit easier as well.
Thanks. That's great. And then we have a question from one of our guests. What's the entry price for Caspio? And I ask, as I represent the majority of businesses in New Zealand that are small and medium businesses. And so to address that question, first of all, majority of Caspio's customers are also SMB, small and medium businesses with below a $5 million New Zealand turnover, and so that's the exact type of customer type that we cater best to. Now, our pricing is transparent. It's listed on our website, and we do also have even special in-country pricing for many countries as well. And so you can of course have a look at it here, but we of course also run special offers from time to time as well. But our base pricing for the Explore plan is at $150 per month. And we also, by the way, have a free plan as well. So you can always get started. This is not a time-limited free plan or not a free trial that I'm talking about, but rather a lifetime free plan as well. And if your needs are fewer, or if you want to just test out the application with maybe just a few data pages, you can even just get started off with the free plan and remain on that free plan as well. So hope that helps with your question. And here, okay, what else do we have? Yeah, how long did this is a question for you, Andy. How long does this type of a project take typically?
So the initial part, so the review that we did and the recommendations, so that took 2 weeks to complete that work. And then we had a 10-week deadline that we needed to hit in order to implement this particular project. So so that's how long this project took. There have been enhancements after that initial 10 weeks, but that 10 weeks was it was quite a significant project. There were a few different phases to get to that 10 weeks, but that then went live for the advocates and referrers to start using that.
Right. And so Andy, we all have heard about a lot of IT projects, going terribly wrong, or going over budget, going over schedule, etc. That's often, in fact, the majority of the IT projects. Whereas this, obviously, we have Stephanie here as well, who vouches for the success of the project. So, what would you attribute as the reasons for the success of this project?
So one of the really important things is to have a very strong, lead of the project from the client perspective. So, I was working with one of Stephanie's colleagues, Forrester, who was at that stage leading the whānau Protect project, and Forrester was she was very determined to implement the improvement, and so that was really important. I think doing the really thorough review so that it became really clear for all of the stakeholders, what the benefits and what the costs were. So, I think that really helps, because people can gradually become more invested in the project. I think regular updates. So we had quite a number of group sessions with the stakeholders where we were able to go through the review findings and be able to go through the recommendations. And those were set up in a way that people's participation was encouraged. So we were able to kind of flesh out where where potential problems were, and we could front foot those. And then, I think another key area is with the training and implementation. So, getting people on board, but then also giving them the support and the training that they need to be able to take those initial steps so that they can actually experience the benefits. I think that's just super important, and different people need different types of support. Some people can manage with like a video library and kind of self-learning. Other people need somebody there that they can actually talk to, and that they can work with, and that they can go, hey, what's happening here, or can we make this better? And so I think you've got to be able to cater for all of the different kind of learning styles of the team. And I think if you can, I think those are the things.
That's great. And I think we're already over time, but I guess just one last question. Did you face any challenges on the project?
Yeah, definitely. We definitely had lots of challenges. So we had, there were some challenges working through, I guess, and some of the politics, with people, with so many different stakeholders. There are definitely some interesting conversations that we had along the way, and there were a few technology challenges as we went through. We thought we could solve something a particular way, but it didn't work out that way. So we had to get creative and find another way of solving the problem. So yeah, I don't, change is not easy, right? So it's definitely challenging. I guess the takeaway that I'd like people to take from what we've covered here today is that using some of these tools makes some of those challenges more manageable, and by going through a good process, and creating the inventor is going to help.
Got it. Great. So thanks a lot, Andy and Stephanie, for both of you for your valuable insights today, and thanks everyone for attending. We hope you got some great takeaways from today's webinar. We will be sharing the recording and the slides with everyone who's registered today, and if you would like to reach out, you can respond back on that email, or you can get a hold of us at caspio.com, or you can reach out to Andy at hardbasket.com as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Thank you.